Okay, it's my job now to keep you cheered up after lunch. It's usually a little tough, but I'll do my best. Done? No, I have something else to find to say. I'll try to do my best to keep you interested in a catastrophic situation we have in Italy. Italy, it's one of the first, obviously the first is RV, the Netherlands, but after the Netherlands, we in 2013 legalized the medical cannabis. 8 years are passed, and what's the status? The status, it's quite terrible. I have three words to say. We don't have cannabis. There are four, so I'll try again. Please help. Still two. But okay, the problem is we don't have medical cannabis. After 8 years, we are experiencing the worst scenario ever, because we have hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of patients that are suspending their therapies, are diluting their oils with olive oils bought on the market to make their therapy last longer, even with homeopathic concentrations. And there's no solution. My guess for this year is, 2021, is lost for Italian market, for Italian patient of medical cannabis, because there's nothing that can be done to solve the situation now and easily. But let's begin from the very beginning. Who am I? Okay, I'm a pharmacist. You know, I'm a blogger. I started a blog when I'm sorry. Let's do it again. I'm a pharmacist. I'm a compounding pharmacist. I spent my whole entire working life in compounding medicine. I began in 2006, and in 2013, medical cannabis became legal in Italy. I started compounding medical cannabis. At the time, no one was talking about in Italy about medical cannabis, so I began this blog, and it became something bigger than a simple blog, and turned me into what in Italy I'm considered one of the most known consultant in medical cannabis. I don't know if that's true or not, but here I am today. What I'm gonna talk to you today, you can see in this slide, just a very quick introduction of the background. How does it work in Italy, the importation, cultivation, the selling of medical cannabis, and what's happening, what's going on. So, if you ask me to find a word to describe Italian situation, okay, it's complicated. Complicated could be fine, but maybe chaos it's a word that fits better. The situation in medical cannabis, you will, I think, you will agree with me after seeing what I have to show to you. This is a very updated picture of the situation at June, at today, nowadays, because okay, it's as I told you, it's been 8 years we have medical cannabis legalized, but now we don't have medical cannabis. How is it possible? I skipped this because with the hemp I heard a lot of other presentations, so let's move forward. What is medical cannabis? Because it is really medical cannabis in Italy. We are at the background. It's a simple question, simple answer. It's a controlled substances. Obviously, it's not legalized for recreational use in Italy. It's a raw material, meaning it's considered let's use the quotes, an API in Italy, an API that the pharmacists can buy, but I don't want to spoil anything, so we'll talk about this later, or a compounding medicine. It's something, when I say compounding medicine, it's something that related to this phrase you can read. The only way medical cannabis is sold in Italy to patient is through pharmacies. That's the only way. There's no direct selling from a producer. There are no industrial product. I mean, with medical cannabis, obviously Sativex or Epidiolex of GW Pharma, that's the pharmaceutical industrial market. So medical cannabis in Italy, it's we call the galenic or compounding preparation made by the pharmacist for every single patient beyond the presentation of a medical prescription. and it's prepared by the pharmacy in a compounding or galenic laboratory. It's not an industrial scale, it's a very small scale. Very small, I mean a preparation can be of 2 grams of medical cannabis. The biggest prescription I can imagine, but it happened once or twice in 8 years, is 100 grams for an extraction, a FACO or RS oil, Rick Simpson oil, if you know what I'm talking. But usually the average prescription is up 5 to 10 grams for patient monthly. How many pharmacies in Italy sells, let's say it's not compound, sells medical cannabis? 399, this is the official Ministry of Health data of updated to 2020. 399 out of 90,000. Why? After 8 years, we have about 400, only 400 pharmacies. There are many reasons. It's a controlled substance. In Italy, if you work well, you are due to a lot of checkings, controls by police and officers and health authorities, because they think that if you are doing it, you must do it wrong. Secondary, it could be this, the pricing problem. In Italy, the selling price of medical cannabis is fixed by a decree law. It's 9 euro for gram, but pharmacy, it's 9 euro for gram, independently of the buying cost. I mean, because maybe someone is thinking, no, this guy just said something that it's impossible. I have to sell at 9 even if I buy higher. And usually we buy higher. Higher means 10 or 11. That means I have a direct loss of 1 or 2 euros each gram I sell to the patient. And you can imagine in this situation where we are in a terrible shortage of medical cannabis, or our sellers, we have cannabis, it's a little amount, do you want it? Dear pharmacist, do you want to buy it? Yes, 11. If you don't want it, you are free to go to someone else, and the someone else will ask you 10.5 or 11 too. Sounds criminal. Maybe it is, but this is how it works. Always speaking of the background, in Italy we are allowed, when I say we, I mean pharmacists, we are allowed to compound, I would like to say, with no limits, and that was until September 2020, because we had no limitation about pharmaceutical forms. We could compound whatever the doctor obviously asked us to compound, and for whatever I mean sachets. It's just the raw material, the flower, weighted on a scale and delivered to the patient. Oral capsules, we decarboxylate the medical cannabis, we micronize the medical cannabis, and we put it, sound easy, it's not, but we put it inside capsules, ready to use. Tea capsules, we micronize the raw material, not decarboxylated, we give it to patients so the patient can open the capsule and make a tea, a cannabis tea. It's a poor source of decarboxylated cannabinoids, but it's a good source for not decarboxylated. Now you will see some pharmaceutical forms like eye drops or vaginal suppositories with a red cross on it. That's what happened in September when our Bureau of Medical Cannabis decided to not to make a new decree, but make a different interpretation of the law that I took to court, and I'm awaiting for the judgment of the court. Actually, the limit expired 40 hours ago, so I'm still waiting for a phone call. If you see me picking up the phone right now, because it's my lawyer to tell me what, how did it go. But anyway, now we are not allowed to compound nothing else that inhalatory therapies or oral therapies. So no more vaginal, no more eye drops, no more suppositories. Obviously, yes, it's okay, it's fine. Raisins and tinctures. but not chocolate, pills, and topical cream. Okay, the other is a joke, bad joke if someone got it. Anyway, let's go in deep into the current situation with this timeline. 8 years passed, and what happened in these 8 years. In 2013, everything began, not because Italian government want to make medical cannabis legal. It happened to let the GW Farm to sell on our market the Sativex, because Sativex it's classified in Italy as a flower extract, flower and leaves extract. The side effect of how the law was written at the time allowed us pharmacists to start compounding the flower and makes what we are doing today, compounding medical cannabis compoundings. In November 2015, we had the first and only decree that regulate everything that walks around the medical cannabis, cultivation, sellings, prescription, everything. In January 2017, let's say simple, and we'll catch it later. We started the Italian cannabis. It's produced and cultivated by the army in Florence, and it's going terrible. But again, I don't want to spoil anything. I have the slides to show. December 2017, the first great blackout in Italy at the time was basically importing the 95% of medical cannabis from the Netherlands. Netherlands had problems, so we found ourselves without cannabis. At least all the major varieties, exception made for Bedrocan. In December 2018, 1 year after the shortage, we tried, and when I say we, I mean the Bureau of Cannabis, tried to fix the situation. It took only 1 year, setting up a tender won by Aurora. And do you know, that's a big question, I know. You are seated so you can take the hit. How many grams of cannabis we asked in this tender to Aurora? 100 kilograms. Whoa. Big stuff. But anyway, in June 2019, considering the 100 kilograms of Aurora, the 50 kilograms from the military in Florence, and the almost 450 kilograms from the Netherlands, we had a nice and quite well year. But in March 2020, risking another shortage of cannabis, we set up another tender, always won by Aurora, and this time we asked for 200 kilograms. Big stuff again. So something wasn't working right. We had this sensation. In fact, in October 2020, we had those misinterpretation of the Bureau of Cannabis that stopped those topical and external pharmaceutical forms and stopped the cannabis delivery. That in a timings of COVID, and considering only 398 pharmacies out of 90,000 caused huge problems to patients, because it was a status quo, that's all my Latin, the fact that a pharmacist compounded the medical cannabis and delivered it directly to the patient. We are not allowed to do this anymore, and this is why I appealed to court. And then here we are, from the beginning, from January to June 2021, the second great blackout of the biggest and worst shortage of medical cannabis. To understand how bad it is, we need to understand how the medical cannabis chain supply works in Italy, and it's quite easy. We have three medical cannabis sources: the Netherlands, Canada, and Germany, let's say, because what's in Canada passes through Germany to the army, and the arm itself, the establishment, the chemical, pharmaceutical chemical establishment in Florence. Problems, if you ask me, what are the problems of medical cannabis in Italy? I would say three things. Three is a recurrent number in my life. Doctors don't know how to use it and don't know how to prescribe it, but especially in certain times of the year, we run out of medical cannabis. This is an official data given by the Ministry of Health, and it shows up. Look at the purple line. That's the amount of, in kilograms, the amount of medical cannabis delivered to patient year by year. The first time I said, okay, this is not the mortality or the expanding ratio of the COVID, but as you can see, it's the slope as not an exponential, but it seems a 45 degrees, okay? And it's updated to the 31 December 2020, okay? This is the same data, but in a table format. It gives you the idea. Consider I alone sold in 2020 110 kilograms with my pharmacy. I'm one of the top 3 pharmacies in Italy, on a total of 664, because this is the quota reserved for the let's say the pharmacies on the territory. This is the quota reserved for the hospital pharmacies, and this is the quota produced, not cultivated, produced by the army in Florence. Now, I told you before, what's the difference between produced and distributed? 242 is distributed. You have to subtract the 200 kilograms of the tender, and you get the quota produced, cultivated and produced by the Italian establishment in Florence in 2020. It was authorized up to a cultivation up to 500. They did 50. So the total amount that circulated and was distributed in Italy in 2020, it's 1 ton and 100. But what is the official, this is the INCB quotas. What is the official for the 2020? It was 109. It was 2 tons. But this is the 2021. This year we are expecting 3 tons of medical cannabis requested by the patient. But this is the graph. Theoretically, we should, in the best scenario ever, we will arrive at 1,660, in which 500 are the 500 that should be produced and cultivated by the arm in Florence. In other words, in 2021, up to we have an expectation, a need calculated by the INCB of 3 tons of medical cannabis. What we are expecting this year is 200 kilograms from Canada, from the tender, one in 2018. 0, nothing, nada, who knows? 50, 100 grams, make your bet. From Italy, from the army, and a maximum amount of 900 kilograms. This is what the Netherlands will deliver to us. And if I'm not wrong, 900 plus 200 plus 100, it's 1 ton and 2 on a total amount of request of 3 tons. That's why we are in a catastrophic shortage of medical cannabis. These are all the variety that you can prescribe and find and buy with prescription in a pharmacy, theoretically. Today, if you ask for what is available in Italy, Those are the Bedrock variety of strains. These are the Italian Farmaceutico Militare, military pharmaceutical 1 and 2, and the Aurora. These are the current flowers, the current batches you can find on the market. Only the high THC content, basically, nothing more. But the good news is that next week, Bedrocan will deliver us 45 kilograms of medical cannabis. That's all what we got for June. We're going to skip July, maybe August, because holidays holidays are sacred, and we'll see in September for another 35 kilograms. If you want to import in Italy, so looking for solution, if you want to import in Italy, but you're never allowed to do it directly. You can't contact my pharmacy, for example, a pharmacy or an hospital, and say, okay, I have 10 tons of flowers to sell to you. Do you want to buy it? Yes, I would, but I can't because we both need the authorization of the Bureau of Medical Cannabis. It must be IT GMP, where IT is not related to the computer and software, but Italian GMP. You know that's there are European GMP, but Italy, this is the Italian way. We were the very first, as we love to claim and release statement in 2017, to set up a GMP for medical cannabis. We made it in in April 2017, few months before the Netherlands, but we made the Italian GMP, but it's more complicated of European GMP. That's why at every tender, a tender in Italy lasts from 4 to 6 months, because you can be European GMP, you come to us, you want to participate to the tender, but you are not compliant to Italian GMP. We have the army, so they were first, and you don't want to mess with military, okay? So this is my personal opinion. Why in 8 years no one else ever succeed in getting a license out of the military? Because the day the Ministry of Health will allow someone else to have a license or to import from outside Italy, that will mean the army has failed, and you don't want to admit that the army, the Ministry of Defense failed in its duty, okay, to supply medical cannabis to patients. It has to be all indoor. So by Baltiray, for example, for Portugal, I mean, I'm not joking, but not outdoor, absolutely, only indoor and only by agamic reproduction. There are a lot of those, for example, in this slide, a lot of requests of, I have an outdoor cultivation of medical cannabis with all authorization, nada. I cultivate indoor or outdoor hemp. No, hemp is not medical cannabis. I have a CBD oil product, a finished CBD oil with GMP. No. In Italy, we don't want finished product. We only want flowers. We have a cultivation of authorized medical cannabis with all the GMP authorization. They would like to import flowers. No, but yeah, technically or theoretically you could have, but have you wondered why in 8 years no one has ever obtained the license? Do you think no one tried before? Absolutely. Many tried, but no one has ever succeeded, because there's only one single wall to climb, and this wall has a name and a surname. I'm not going to tell you, I'm going to say it here, but let's say it's our bureau. It's where everything begins and everything ends. You just have to get the license there. Once you have it there, you did it. You can cultivate, import, whatever. And everybody tried, and everybody failed. Why? Politics, maybe. Personal vision, I don't know. They all failed, as I told you. So, opportunities or proposals here. Yeah. What kind of proposals? this is the time of proposal. I am saying this, something has to happen, because this is going to be the worst year ever in Italy. But again, I told you before, I don't see any solution, every solution in the short term. There's nothing. I personally think there's nothing it can be done, because every solution will require time. Time we don't have. Patients are already in suspending or not even beginning their therapies. Doctors don't know what to do, because once they prescribe a strain, for example, Bedrocan, they give a prescription to the patient goes to the pharmacy doesn't have a strain, so it says to the patient, don't worry, they told us it's coming. After 2 months, nothing happened. The prescription expires in the meantime, and maybe when the cannabis arrives, the patient doesn't have a valid prescription anymore. It has to go back to the doctor. It's a mess. Rumors. These are very last rumors. About evaluation of, it seems, rumors are Italian bureau is evaluating, considering the opportunity of releasing some license on Italian soil, Italian territory. I personally think it's not going to happen, because San Marino, a city-state, recently decided to start the cultivation, and they made contact with the army in Florence, and when you talk of army, a lot of door close. Maybe there's a hope for the medical cannabis extract, just a temporary solution to import medical cannabis extract as API, not as a finished product, API that pharmacies can take and compound, let's say, to give it directly to patient. Now it's us, I mean pharmacies, that we take the flowers, we make the extract, and that's it. Maybe rumors are that is it possible for a temporary fix, some medical extract could be accepted, and that's all.